how to make this crochet tote bag. It has a lot of space in it, and it's also not very stretchy because I use cotton yarn. It is also no sew, so this is a whole piece, which saves a lot of headaches. So yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna tell you guys the materials you need to make this tote bag. So to make this tote bag, I used these two cones. They're from the brand Hobby. They're called Cotton Kings. And this is super fine yarn. I'll leave the link to them in the description down below. And I use 135 grams of each color. So the total weight of the bag is 270 grams. I then used a 3.5 millimeter hook to make this tote bag. You also need a couple of stitch markers and some scissors, and also a darning needle to weave in the ends. To make this tote bag, I'll use 2 strands of yarn. So I have here a white one and a brown one. To start, we're going to make a slip knot. The way I do this is I roll my yarn on my 2 fingers like this, making an X shape. Take your hook and pass it underneath here and grab the yarn over here. Turn your fingers and take them off and pull. And then you can pull again to adjust it to your hook. Like this. We're now going to chain 62. So to chain, you have to yarn over your hook and pull through. So that's 1 chain. The little loop on your hook does not count as a chain. Yarn over, pull through. That's 2 chains. Yarn over, pull through. That's 3 chains. Yarn over, pull through. That's 4. 5. So repeat this until you have a total of 62 chains. So here I have my 62 chains. The next step is to place some stitch markers. So I place a stitch marker on the 2nd stitch from the beginning, so not on the 1st stitch here, on the 2nd one, in the front loop like this. And I also place a stitch marker in the 2nd chain from the hook, so in the 2nd chain over here in the front loop, like this. Once that's done, we're going to make 60 half double crochets. So skip the 1st stitch over here and insert your hook in the 2nd stitch from the hook to make your first half double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. Put a stitch marker on that 1st stitch to know that this is the 1st stitch of the round. So this is 1 half double crochet, make 59 more. So yarn over, insert your hook in the back loop of your chain, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all of them. Again, yarn over, insert your hook through the back loop of the chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook. So just continue this until you have completed 60 half double crochets. So here I have made 60 half double crochets, and so you should have 1 chain left at the end here. In this last chain, we're going to increase. We're going to put 3 half double crochets in the same chain. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook. And on this stitch, we're going to put a stitch marker there, like this. So that's 1. Put 2 more in the same chain. This is 2 and 1 more. This is 3, and you can just pull on this little tail to close off a little bit the little hole. And we're also going to put a stitch marker on this stitch. So we have our 3 stitches from the increase over here, 1, 2, and 3. And now we're basically going to go back and crochet on the other side of the foundation chain. We can now take off this yellow stitch marker and make 59 half double crochets. So you just basically have to insert your hook in the little loop like this and make a half double crochet. So I'll continue making my half double crochets all across until I reach my pink stitch marker over here. So here I've made 59 half double crochets and I've reached my pink stitch marker. So we can now take off this pink stitch marker, and on this last chain we're going to increase. We're going to put 2 half double crochets in the same chain. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and put a stitch marker on this stitch, and we have to make 1 more half double crochet in the same chain like this. And to close off round 1, we're going to make a slip stitch in our first stitch, which is where this orange stitch marker is. So take off the stitch marker, insert your hook through both loops, yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook to make a slip stitch. To start round 2, we're going to chain 1. After chaining 1, we're going to make an increase in the first stitch of the round. We're going to put 2 half double crochets in the first stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook in the first stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook, and put a stitch marker there to know that this is your first stitch of the round. And again, yarn over and insert your hook in the same stitch we've just inserted our hook in, and make a half double crochet. So now we're done with our increase. Now that we're done with our increase, we're going to make 59 half double crochets. So go ahead and make 59 half double crochets, and you basically just have to insert your hook through both little loops like this. So I'll continue this and I'll see you guys when I reach my stitch marker. I've now completed 59 half double crochets and I've reached my stitch marker over here. So on here, we're basically going to make an increase, then make 1 half double crochet and then another increase. So 1 increase, 1 half double crochet in here, and 1 increase here. So take off your stitch marker and make an increase on this next stitch, which is 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. So this is 1 and 2. So our first increase is done. Now we're just going to make a regular half double crochet in the next stitch. Now that that's done, we're going to take off this stitch marker and make an increase there. So put 2 half double crochets in this next stitch. 1 and 2 in the same stitch. So now that that's done, we're gonna go back and make 59 half double crochets. So continue by making 59 half double crochets. So I'll see you guys when I reach my pink stitch marker on the other side here. Now that I'm done making my 59 half double crochets, I have reached my pink stitch marker. We're going to take it off and make an increase on the next stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook and make a half double crochet, and again make a second half double crochet in the same stitch. So here our increase is done and we have 1 stitch left over here. We're basically just going to make a regular half double crochet in there. And then put back your stitch marker on this last stitch to know that this is the last stitch of the round. And to end off round 2, we're going to slip stitch in our first stitch. So take off your stitch marker and make a slip stitch like this. And now put back your stitch marker on your first stitch. So in the stitch we've just slip stitched in, like this. And now we're going to take a stitch marker. I'm sorry, I'm annoying with my stitch markers. Okay, so now I have this stitch marker and I'm going to place it anywhere on my work over here. So I'm gonna place it like in the middle, wherever, like this. And so this is to let you know that the side where the stitch marker is the outside of the bag. So again, the side with the stitch marker is the outside of the bag. All right, so now we can continue. To continue, we're going to chain 2. 1 and 2. And now we're going to turn our work. So right now I have the green stitch marker facing me. We're going to turn our work like this. And now we're basically just going to make double crochets in every stitch. Just so you know, you're supposed to have 128 stitches all around. So now we're at round 3. And basically our last stitch is now our first stitch because we turned our work. So we're going to skip the 2 chains, and this is the slip stitch. So we're going to skip that too. And as you can see here, we have 2 little loops. We have this loop on the top and this loop on the bottom. We're going to insert our hook just below the 2 loops. So yarn over. We can take off the stitch marker. So we skip these 2 and the slip stitch and insert our hook right below the 2 loops, like this. Yarn over, pull through. We have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. On the next rows, it's going to be a lot easier to find where to put your hook in, so just bear with me. And we're going to put back our stitch marker in the first stitch in here. So we're basically just going to repeat this all around our bag. Yarn over, insert your hook underneath the 2 loops right over here, and now yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 again. And it shouldn't be too hard for your hook to find where to push. Like there's a little hole. If you pull a little, there's a little hole, so that's where we're inserting our hook in. So yarn over, insert your hook underneath the 2 loops, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So I'm going to show you one last time. Yarn over, insert your hook underneath the 2 little loops here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, like this. So you're basically just going to repeat this all around. And once again, you should have 128 stitches all around your work. I'm almost done doing my double crochets. I have 3 stitches left, so 1, 2, and 3. The last ones can be a little confusing, but just look at the top and then turn it, and there's another little loop on here. And then the last one is also pretty confusing sometimes, but it's right underneath this little loop here. And after this third round, you won't have this problem really anymore. So I'm gonna take off this last stitch marker here, yarn over, and insert my hook right underneath here, and make my last double crochet. And you can put back your stitch marker in there. So I basically have 128 double crochets all around. To finish round 3, we're going to slip stitch in our first stitch. So make a slip stitch and put back your stitch marker on your first stitch like this. You can now chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're once again going to turn our work. So we just finished round 3. We're going to turn our work, and we can now see once again the little stitch marker here. And we're just basically going to repeat these same steps over and over again until we reach round 34. So we're once again going to skip the chains here, and we're going to skip the slip stitch over here. And now it's going to be pretty easy. We have a big hole here where we're going to have to insert our hook in. So don't get confused and don't insert your hook underneath the slip stitch. Really insert your hook underneath where you put your stitch marker, which would be in here. So I'm gonna take it off. So we're skipping this slip stitch. We're going to yarn over and insert our hook in here, which is our first stitch in the big hole, and make a double crochet and put back your stitch marker there on your first stitch. And we're going to continue making double crochets in every stitch. So once again, you should have 128 double crochets all around your work. So yarn over, insert your hook in the next big hole. Yarn over, insert your hook in the next big hole. Yarn over, insert your hook in the next big hole and make a double crochet. Next big hole. Next big hole. Next big hole. So I'm going to continue making double crochets in every little hole until I reach the end. So I'll continue my double crochets and I'll see you when I reach the end over here. Here I'm almost done making all of my double crochets. Here I have 2 more to make. I'm gonna take off my stitch marker and make my last double crochet in here. And then you can put back your stitch marker in your last stitch. And once again, to close off round 4, we're going to slip stitch in our first stitch. And put back your stitch marker on your first stitch. And chain 2. 1, 2. So right now, this is the side we're on. We're going to flip it. So turn your work. So you're basically going to have to repeat these steps over and over again until you reach row 34, or you can always make more rows or do less rows depending on how big you want your bag to be. So again, you have to skip the chains and the slip stitch, which is here, and insert your hook in the hole right below the stitches. And so we have to insert our hook in the big hole right underneath the stitch marker in here. So I'm gonna take off the stitch marker, yarn over, and insert my hook here. And don't get confused, don't put your hook underneath the slip stitch in this hole. You really have to insert your hook underneath where you put your stitch marker and make a double crochet. And you can put back your stitch marker in there. So continue and make double crochets in every stitch, again inserting in these big holes. So next stitch goes in here, next stitch goes again in the big hole, next stitch in the big hole, next double crochet in the big hole, Alright, so I'm going to continue making all of my double crochets, and I'll show you guys one last time how to end off a round and start a new one. Here I have 3 stitches left to make. Next one is here. And then the last one is going to go in this little hole here. Put back your stitch marker on your last stitch. And to end off round 5, we're going to slip stitch in our first stitch. And you can put back your stitch marker on your first stitch here, like this. And chain 2 to start round 6. To start round 6, you're going to have to turn your work. You're going to have to skip the 2 chains and also skip the slip stitch over here and insert your hook right below your stitch marker, which is in this little hole here. So take off your stitch marker and insert your hook and put back your stitch marker in there, and just continue making double crochets all around. So you're just going to have to repeat these steps over and over again until you have the right amount of rows. So here we completed 5 rounds and we have a total of 34 to make, which means we have 29 more rows to make. So here I have one last stitch to make before I'm done with the 34th round. And I forgot to say, but the reason why we turn our work every round is to keep a straight seam. So as you can notice probably, the seam is straight only in one side and it doesn't go like crooked. So anyways, so when you're done with your last stitch of the last row, we're going to slip stitch. I will actually first just put back your stitch marker in the last stitch here and slip stitch in the first stitch of the round, and put back your stitch marker in the first stitch. You can chain 2 now. Alright, so now we have to start making the 2 handles, and to do that we're going to place 4 stitch markers. So take 4 stitch markers and we're going to count 19 stitches on this side and 19 stitches on this side. What we're going to do is that we're going to lay our work flat like this, and we're going to look at it from above, and we're going to count 19 stitches on this side in the front and 19 stitches on the back side, starting like from the left, and same thing on the right. So 19 stitches like this and 19 stitches on the back. So I'm gonna do that with you guys. We can start counting our first stitch on the last stitch of the round. So here was our last stitch where the stitch marker is, and we can count 19 going to the right like this. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 and 19. So I'm gonna put a stitch marker there. And now from the first stitch of the round here, we're gonna count 19 too. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 16 17 18 and 19. Put a stitch marker there. Now what we can do is count 26 stitches here. So I'm gonna start counting 26 from not the stitch where the stitch marker is, the stitch right next to it. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26. So here is my 26th stitch. I'm going to put a stitch marker on the stitch right next to it. So in between the two stitch markers, you should have 26 stitches. So if we don't count the stitches where our stitch markers are, in between we have 26 stitches. And we can do the same thing on the other side. So I'm gonna start counting not where the stitch marker is, on the stitch right next to it. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26. So the 26th stitch is right here. I'm gonna put a stitch marker on the stitch right next to it. So if we count, we should have 38 stitches from this stitch to this stitch. So I'm gonna count just to make sure. 1 2 3 4. So this is what it's supposed to look like. You have 19 stitches here, 26 in the middle, and then 19 again on here. And same thing on the other side of the bag. You have 19 stitches here, 26 in between the stitch markers, and then 19 stitches here. So to continue, we have to turn our work. We're once again going to skip the 2 chains and skip the slip stitch. Take off the stitch marker and make a double crochet. And put back your stitch marker on your first stitch. And we're basically going to make double crochets until we reach our stitch marker over here. So continue as usual to make your double crochets in the big hole until you reach your stitch marker. And I forgot to say, but you have to make 19 double crochets. So I have 3 left. 1 2 Okay, so I have my last double crochet I have to make in here. So I'm gonna take off the stitch marker and make a double crochet. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to start chaining. We're going to chain 75. So this is going to be the length of your strap. Of course, you can customize this number depending on how long you want your strap to be, but 75 is good for me, so I'm gonna chain 75. So just yarn over and pull through. When you're done making your first chain, I suggest you put a stitch marker on the back bump of that chain, because this is going to help you out in the next round. So the back bar, if you look at your stitch from the front, you can turn it, and here the little bump is the back bar. So this is the front. If you turn it a little, there's a little bump. Put a stitch marker there. So from the side it looks like this, and this is really going to help you out in the next round. So just continue chaining until you have the right amount of chains. For me, that's 75. I'm now done making all of my chains, and we're now going to go ahead and connect it to the other side where the other stitch marker is. So to connect it, we're first going to take off our stitch marker, and we're going to yarn over and insert our hook in the big hole that was right underneath the stitch marker. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now our our chains are together, and this is going to be the length of your strap. And so you can now continue and make double crochets all around here until you reach the other stitch marker here. So make double crochets all over this area here. And we're still inserting our hook in the big hole underneath the stitches. Here I've almost reached my stitch marker. And now I have one last stitch to make. I'm gonna take off the stitch marker and make a double crochet. And now again we're going to chain 75 or whatever amount of chains you decided to make. So chain 1, and if you want you can always put a stitch marker again in the back bar of your first chain, just like this, and continue chaining. Again, I'm going to make 75 chains. Alright, so now I'm done making my chains, and once again we're going to connect it to the next stitch marker. To do that, we're going to take off the stitch marker like this. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook underneath where the stitch marker was, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now our second strap is connected, and now we're just going to make double crochets until we reach the last stitch marker in here. Alright, so I have 2 stitches left to make. When you're done with your last stitch, again, put a stitch marker and slip stitch in your first stitch. Then go ahead and place a stitch marker on your last stitch, on your first stitch, sorry, and chain 2. And turn your work. And now we're basically again going to make double crochets in every stitch. So skip the 2 chains and skip the slip stitch and make double crochets. Put back the stitch marker. So make double crochets until you reach your strap here, and I'll show you how to double crochet in the little strap. So I have 2 stitches left to make, a last one in here. And we've now reached our chains. Oh no, I just realized I put oh my god, I forgot we had to turn our work, and I put the stitches in the wrong. But anyway, the first chain is the one right here, and if we turn it, the little back bar is here. So this is the first chain and the back bar is just right under it, and we're basically going to crochet in these back bars. So the first one is always trickier than the rest of them, so check out where your first chain is and turn it. And this is kind of hard to show on camera, so it's right here. I'm gonna show you better on the next stitches, sorry. So I'm gonna make a double crochet. All right, so yarn over and insert your hook in the back bar of the chain. So here, as you can see, these are the little chains. If you flip it, you're going to see that there's little bumps like this. So we're going to crochet in those little bumps. So yarn over, find your next bump, and mine is right here. I'm going to insert my hook in it. It can be a little tight sometimes. So when it's tight like that, you can always take a needle and loosen it a little bit like this. And it's going to be easier to put your hook in. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we're going to make double crochets in the back bars of the chain. So yarn over, find your next back bar, insert your hook in it, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, yarn over and insert your hook in the next back bar, like this, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, yarn over, insert your hook in the next back bar, and make a double crochet. So you'll have to do this for all of your chains, and I'll see you guys when I'm done doing that. When you're done making your double crochets in every back bar, you can simply join by crocheting in the holes. So yarn over and insert your hook in the hole and make a double crochet, and just continue making double crochets like this. The next steps are going to be the same thing that we've done here. So you're going to make double crochets all around here until you reach your chains, then make 75 double crochets in the back bar, and then when you're done doing that, you're just going to continue making double crochets up to here and slip stitch to end the round. So here I'm pretty much done. I just have to put back a stitch marker on my last stitch and make a slip stitch in my first stitch. And chain 2. After you've chained 2, you're going to turn your work again. And now for the next 2 rows, we're going to make double crochets in every stitch. So I don't think I need to show you again how to do that. You've been doing this for so long now. But so again, you're going to take off your stitch marker and then make a double crochet. Oop. And put back your stitch marker and continue like this, crocheting in the big holes like this in every stitch. And don't worry, the holes like this continue all the way in the handle too, so it won't be hard to crochet in the handle anymore. Now you're gonna go ahead and do 2 more rows of double crochets in every stitch, so your handle is going to have 3 rows of double crochets. And of course, don't forget to turn your work every time you finish a round. And I think I said 2 more rows, but it's 2 more rounds of double crochets, sorry. So I'm now done making the 2 extra rounds of double crochets, and I have 1 last stitch to make here. And the next round is going to be the last one, and on that round we're going to make half double crochets in every stitch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 strands of the white yarn that I have to do the outer part, because I like it to be like a little contrast. So the outer part is going to be all white and the inside in here too. That means I'm going to change colors. You don't have to change colors if you don't want to, but I think it looks a lot nicer with another color. So here is the last stitch that I have to make. What I'm gonna do is that I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through 2. Now what you're gonna want to do is take your new color. So for me that's 2 strands of white yarn, and I'm going to pull through the 2 remaining loops with this new color. So just pull through like this, and now we have our new color. So you can put a stitch marker on your last stitch, and now you can go ahead and slip stitch in your first stitch, with your new color, like this. You can pull on the little tail here to tighten it. And now we're just going to chain 1. Oh, and don't forget to put a stitch marker on your first stitch. Of course, that's totally optional. And now we're going to turn our work. And so now we're just going to make half double crochets in every stitch. So again, in every little hole you see. So I'm gonna take this off. So I'm going to make my first half double crochet, and I'm going to put a stitch marker on my first stitch. So you yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook. So just do half double crochets in every stitch. Alright, so I went around all of my bag with white yarn, as you can see, and I have 2 more stitches to make. So 1 and my last one. So now that I'm done with all of my stitches, I'm simply going to slip stitch in my first stitch. So what I do is I slip stitch, I pull the yarn and cut it, but I didn't have to cut it because I was running out. And then what I do is I pull on it, and then I bring it down a little bit close to the other tails of yarn. Then I make a knot with all of these and I weave them in. So you can take a moment and weave in all of your ends. So go ahead and weave in your ends, and then I'll show you how to make the last step, which is to make a white lining all the way through the strap and over here. Alright, so now that I'm done weaving in my ends, I'm going to show you the last step I make to finish this bag, which is the white lining. So I just start in one of the corners. So I'm going to start in this corner right here. But you can pretty much start anywhere, I just prefer to start in a corner. So I'm going to take my 2 strands of white yarn and pull it through in one of the holes, and I'm going to chain 1. And then in the same hole, I'm going to make a half double crochet. So in the same hole, make a half double crochet. You can put a stitch marker on your first stitch to know that this is your first stitch. And then it's pretty easy. You're just going to make half double crochets in every hole, so in every stitch. When you get to the corner like this, you can simply continue in the strap, so by inserting your hook in the little holes from your strap. So it's honestly pretty easy. Alright, so just continue this all around your strap and I'll show you how to end it off. Alright, so I went all over and I have 2 stitches left to make. So I have like 2 holes, one here and one here. Once you're done with that last stitch, we're going to slip stitch in our first stitch. And pull some yarn. You can then cut it. After you're done cutting it, you can pass it over to the other side. Like this, and then weave it in. I usually make a knot and then weave it in. So that's how you make the white lining. I personally feel like it looks a lot cleaner and a lot better this way. So this is pretty much it. You can now go ahead and do the same thing on the other side of your bag. Alright, so here I'm officially done with the 2 sides. So I'm done with my bag. I really hope you guys enjoyed making this tote bag. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps out my channel. So yeah, thank you so much and see you guys on another video. Bye. Take care.